Gundam style, and welcome to Wow Cool Robot. I'm Julia, and I'll be your co-host for yet another episode, and I think I did that right. I use she and her pronouns.
I'm your other co-host, Jared, or Jay, and I use he and him pronouns. I'm just laughing because it's funny how much you hate saying it.
It's miserable, and it's awful, and it's every time difficult.
And I'm Max, and I use he, him pronouns, and I say despicable things all week long, and I'm totally fine, so I don't know what your problem is.
Yeah, that's why I sent you those good
you,
yellow minions.
Huh?
My face when I'm despicable?
Hot off the back of Grugio 3.
God.
Technically Grugio 4, because Minions is between Despicable Me 2 and 3, and we will be coming back for Minions 2 Rise of Gru next summer, I believe it comes out.
Excellent. I'm glad we're talking about that on the related podcast.
I'm glad we're talking about a different podcast of mine that is within a podcast of mine that is behind a paywall.
Uh-huh. We've got layers to this.
Patreon.com/potofgreed.
Stop shilling.
This show doesn't have a fucking Patreon. I'm allowed to shill another one of mine. I don't make money off this. I do it for the love of the game.
God.
Welcome back to the shit show, everyone. I'm glad to have you here.
Welcome back to the world isn't a shit show. The world. I'm referring more to the world of Gundam Wing, but we're getting close to the end of the series.
What do we have? 3 episodes left?
3 podcast episodes left.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is what I was saying, but that makes more sense to clarify.
There are 10 episodes of the show left.
One day we'll get a new opening.
Next week we'll get a new opening.
Next week we get a new opening. It's in the middle
Honestly,
of the match too.
Like the fact that we've been hearing rhythm emotion in like fucking AMV form at the end of a couple episodes makes me like more hyped to actually like see it on screen.
Not the end of a couple episodes. I'm pretty sure it's been the end of every episode for 4 episodes.
It's good.
Yeah, the rhythm emotion intensifies steadily until it becomes the new intro. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into it, shall we?
Absolutely.
If we must.
We must so you can go back to the moon.
It's also very true. I would like us to get into it so that I can go play more Final Fantasy. Thank you.
Wait, Julia, are you referring to Final Fantasy 14, the award-winning MMO, free up to level 60, including the first award-winning expansion, Stormblood?
Heavensward?
Heavensward, fuck, I was close.
Got it in 2.
What's the episode,
yes,
please?
Am, in fact. Yeah, 37. Zero versus Epion. Zex arrives in the Sank Kingdom too late and is devastated. He and Wing Zero ends up fighting Hero and Epion, but the battle ends in a draw. They both fall out of their robots because those machines are evil, and they end up exchanging Gundams. Relina reluctantly takes Duke Dermail's offer to become the new representative of Romefeller. Meanwhile, the lunar base and the uncompleted Libra are hijacked by the White Fang Revolutionary Army as they begin their quest to take back space from Romefeller. And Subarov is killed during Wu Fei's attack on the lunar base. Hell yeah.
Fuck
I have not been able to
piss.
stop thinking about this episode.
It's so good. It's a lot.
Nothing has made me laugh harder recently than, like, Zex and Hero just, like, saying fuck you and then taking each other's Gundams.
Yeah, like, they're like, okay, we're obviously enemies now. Fight.
Coming
Here,
soon
have my car.
to TLC. Gundam swap.
Like,
Gundam swap.
Hero just, like, throws his helmet at Zex.
It's so
I don't want
yeah.
them. This shit's busted. You take it. Bye.
Bye, your Gundam's better. I want this one back.
Like, and that being the moment that caps off, like, all of the action that we got in this episode is just, it's so fun. This episode was everything that I've been waiting for and more. Like, when it comes to Wing Zero facing off against Epion, I don't think this is going to be the last time we see it, but for the first time we see it, pretty damn good.
And they're, like, evenly matched, too. Like, yeah, Wing has, like, the fucking stupid Buster Cannon, but also Epion has a beam that's, like, a wired beam saber and a heat whip.
That sword is, like, the coolest.
I cannot stress how much I love the Epion's beam saber. I don't know if now is the appropriate moment to talk about it, but it's like...
Yeah, why not?
It's like proto lightsabers in like the Star Wars universe, where it's still wired technology, but it's not because it has to be. It's wired so it can output more. Which is the thing that I love about it so much.
That's why it's so fat in comparison to the other swords,
Absolutely.
right? Like the other lightsabers, Jesus.
I think I've mentioned this. I don't know if it was in like the Discord chat or if it was on an episode or not at this point, but it really reminds me of the Sazabi and like the Sinanju, which have these axes that have these beams, and they also have like an extension on top of that that's a single beam saber. Mm-hmm. But it's like all of that combined at once. So it has this like fat, flat blade, and it looks like so imposing. Very much in line with like the original Gundam's design. It's humanoid as like kind of a scare tactic. Like Max, you were talking in the Discord today about how in it's Crossbone Dust, where there's a ball designed to look like a Gundam head to terrorize people. And it's absolutely like on that level of like it is an intimidation factor. Like if I had just a regular beam saber and I saw something with a beam saber like that, I would turn around. I would leave because
I'd be like, you know what? I think I'm good actually.
It's so sick, and I love that we like. I think we've seen Hiro like slicing and dicing with it before, but like this is the first time I think we really see it in full and in action. Like not just like a quick green slice through something.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Which speaking of, we like get an explanation of the Zero system for the intro, and Zex is like racing to the Sank Kingdom, and we go back to Hiro pretty much right where he left off, just absolutely tearing. He's
been killing for hours.
he's been nonstop. And this is where we get a really good like first view of the Epion's dope ass beam saber, and it shreds through an entire mobile doll battalion. It does that same like the crossed legs in front with the beam whip or the heat rod. I think that's the correct term, and it just like slices through an entire wave of Virgos in one go.
I'm looking on the wiki to see what it's actually called, because it's not. I mean, a heat rod, I don't think. No, yeah, it's called a heat rod. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing is heat rod is what the goofs have, which is like a hot but also like electrified whip.
You said like a goof. Anyway.
It's funny. I only figured they would have changed the name because like it's not smooth like the heat rod is. It's like jaggedy like a tail. I figure like a heat whip would be more appropriate.
I mean, obviously that's what it's made to represent there. Especially with it being wired back to the back like it is.
Yes.
I love how it looks, but let me tell you, on any Gunpla, that thing is a pain in the ass no matter what.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's either individual pieces you have to like click together, which is very hard to do because they're very jagged and uncomfortable, or you have to like line them up on a wire and then they're really loose and like clicky clacky.
Nope, that sounds miserable.
Anyway, enough about the Epion. We get Zero System versus Zero System.
Yeah, basically. This is so fucked up. Like we haven't. I think the animators scared themselves by drawing Hero's like terrifying glassy rainbow eyes, because he just kind of gets like a yellow glow in his eyes now.
Yeah.
Zex gets a fucking red glow in his.
Yeah,
though.
Right at the end of their little clip together too, because They clash. It is the Epion versus Wing Zero. It's exactly what you expect. The title on the tin says. And like in the distance, we see like there's a battleship with some Virgos headed their way. They don't really give a shit. They keep fighting. But they are like head to head, predicting each other's movements, trying to keep up. Hiro even says Epion is actually like sluggish, trying to keep up with his response times to stuff, which, boy, I wonder how Zex is feeling, because he could kind of not really handle the tall geese to start with, and now he's in the Wing Zero, which is
even better and faster.
It is bonkers how fast these two are moving and trying to like counter and just like predict and advance on each other. It's so cool to see all the action.
Just perfectly in sync.
Oh, and that's the thing, is they clash, and the first time it's like Beam Saber versus Beam Saber, they both get shots inside their cockpit. Hiro is like, it's Zex. And Zex is like, Hiro Yui.
It's so good.
they immediately know who it is. It's so good.
I recognize this stank anywhere.
Yeah, it is exactly like Char versus Amuro. Like, oh, I feel the pressure, like that new type pressure type shit. It's so good.
Oh, I miss new types. I miss Katra.
I will say, like, previously, the Mercurius and the Vayate fight was, I think, my favorite leading up to this.
Yeah.
I think it might just be all of the emotions I have around Wing Zero, just nostalgia based, but this fight may be my favorite now.
Well, I think leading up to this too feels pretty earned.
Absolutely.
Because we've been here two or three times.
Yeah, I think the payoff is a little bit of a bummer, but like now they are like, this is essentially the first time that they've been on like even footing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So it's really good to see.
What I'm excited about is like this is like the preliminary fight, because this is just the fight that allows them to get into their respective Gundams. Like next time is going down.
And while they're fighting, Zex is kind of like, he's seeing all of this like imagery. I think Epion might be showing it to him, or like the Wing Zero is like relaying it to him somehow. But he's seeing like the Sank Kingdoms collapse, and he's like, well, if the Sank Kingdom has collapsed, this battle is pointless, and like, Hiro, I don't even need to face off with you. And the Zero system tells Zex, and Zex is like, Zero, you're telling me to kill Hiro Yui. It is like, oh, this is like for real. This isn't some showdown duel. This is like to the death.
Yeah, they want to fucking kill each other.
God.
As they clash, we cut over to, I guess, Bremen is where the Romefeller headquarters are. Relina is meeting with Dermail here.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. This is very much Dermail trying to, like, pivot on Relina surrendering, because he basically tells her, hey, newsflash, you're the one who's right here. And in fact, Relina, you're so right. Would you like to fucking run this place? Would you like to be the chief representative of Romefeller?
Would you like to be literally the queen?
Would you like to be the queen of the world?
Dermail does a really good job of lying directly to her face in a way that is convincing to her. It is the villain of the entire campaign rolled a natural 20 on a persuasion roll or like a bluff roll, and you did not succeed in parsing it, and you are absolutely falling into it. This whole time, it is Dermail just kind of like jabbing a knife into Relina's back, like, haha, you failed. But also, Romefeller's been like on your side this whole time, and now we have you as this unifying figure for all of the nations of Earth, Relina. Wouldn't that be so perfect?
And she's like hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and it is brutal to watch. It is horrifying to like watch her steadily. Like, she tries to like fight it off because she's like, oh, I don't want this title. There are people in poverty who need assistance. There are people who need lifting up. If I take a title like Queen, if I take a title like Head of Romefeller, I'm not going to be able to help those people. And Dermail just keeps twisting that knife until she kind of like half-heartedly agrees to think about it.
It's good. Like, what kind of gets her to think about it is when he says, you and I both want absolute total pacifism. We just go about it different ways.
Yeah.
And that like
Which
starts
is such horseshit.
Yeah.
He's like I said, he's straight up fucking lying to her.
Mm-hmm.
God.
After Relina begins to do a thonk about this, we cut back to Zex and Hiro, who are still duking it out, to the point where they enter the fucking soup and like their Zero systems both overload on each other.
Yeah,
Yep.
so before they get to that point, too, they're both kind of, like, conversing with their mobile suits. Like, Hiro is, like, kind of consulting and kind of, like, telling Epion, like, no, I shouldn't do that. And Zex is kind of, like, on the same line. Like, Zex was talking to the Wing Zero earlier, saying, like, oh, you're telling me to kill Hiro Yui? And they do it a lot while they're fighting. There is something that is definitely pushing them in a direction, and they're kind of trying to fight it. And like Max says, they clash one more time, and their Zero systems, like, genuinely, we get the fucking like Matrix green number text on screen, and they get completely overloaded. And the Epion collapses, the cockpit opens, and Hiro slams to the ground, true to form. And Zex just kind of exits the wing, and the wing just like falls off a cliff.
He can't exit a mobile suit any other way.
No.
And the Wing Zero falls like off a cliff behind him, and Hiro's like on the ground, and he still has that like visor on the Epion's Astro suit down in front of his face, and he's on the ground, and Zex is still standing, and he manages to pull a gun. And
then just fucking collapses still.
Oopsie.
Yeah, and then he just kind of collapses too.
I'm tired.
And then we bounce way back to outer space, all the way
Hey,
to
John Belushi's here.
The moon base. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and tell me about this man that Tuberov is talking to.
His name is Sedici. What number is that? Do we know?
I could not tell you.
Well, the point is he's John Belushi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, we thought fucking Kakarkan Kirkuler from Zeta Gundam is John Belushi, and he is, but this is after Colony John Belushi.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the fucking, like, John Belushi is a universal constant here.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, but he's on Tuberov's big nasty battleship is the important thing. So we're on Tuberov's big stinky battleship. John Belushi, aka Sedici, is like his sort of second in command here, right? Tuberov, he's like, oh, these fucking rules, how much we've taken and oppressed people to build this symbol of Romefeller is fucking, I love this shit, man.
They've made a lot of progress on it,
asshole.
too.
Kind of.
Like, kind of an asshole.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But yes, they have.
Because they have, yeah.
And he, like, gets into a shuttle. They're about to go off somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Specifically, I think Sedici stays behind and Tuberov goes to the shuttle.
Yeah. And then the pilot's like, haha, never mind. And we see him pull a gun on him.
Here's how I think it's going to go down.
Interesting.
It's a dear sister cut type moment here.
The co-pilot, because that's the seat he is in the shuttle, kind of turns around and we see the white armband on him.
Uh-oh, sisters.
Oops.
It is a very obvious, like, well, to be fair, like, of the things they could have done, it's a little subtle. But, like, at the same time, it is a very obvious, like, white band tied around his arm.
Yeah.
It's also framed.
Wait.
It's also framed in the shot.
What color does white represent?
War.
Crime.
I have to print out another fucking page in my goddamn lore Bible because there's a fucking another faction in this stupid show.
Yeah, I made a joke about this earlier today. I think this is Gundam Wing is now on 4 levels of internal betrayal.
It went from Alliance to Oz to Romefeller, and now we're at fucking White Fang.
Well, it went from Alliance to Oz to Trey's faction.
Yep.
And now White Fang. So they announced that they are part of White Fang. And the base starts blowing up, and one of them says, like, the Artemis Revolution is underway. So there's a cool title for, you know, the thing that's happening, like Operation Nova or Operation Meteor. Don't worry, you're probably not gonna need to remember it, but they're gonna hit you with it a bunch of times anyways.
Yeah, we see their leader. We don't know his name until the next episode, so as for now, I just refer to him as Puffy Vest Guy.
Yeah, he's a fucking, like, old history teacher who's cold.
He looks like Tuberov, but normal, kind of.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, he kind of does.
He's the exact same hair.
On a budget.
He's like long, swept black, white hair. I think his name is Quins.
It's Cans is how it's pronounced in English, which is hilarious.
The fuck it isn't.
I'm pretty sure it's spelled like Quinze, which is supposed to be quince, which is 15 in Spanish.
So Quinceañera is the leader of the White Fang.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yep.
Wouldn't you know it? The colonies have fully fucking horseshoe theoried around to being revolutionaries again.
Yes, exactly.
We did it. Good job, team.
White Fang, in particular, is colony-specific revolutionaries who want to throw off the shackles of Oz and Romefeller. And I think Quince, whatever, he says it in, like, the next episode, but he's basically like, you know, we're just following the lead of Hiro Yui. And it's like...
Which fucking one?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tuberov,
now this is the Hiro Yui that's dead, right? Can you clarify?
Tubarov ends up getting basically placed under arrest and taken back onto the lunar base where he's held captive. But he makes a break for it and then gets into like a single server room, hacks a computer, whatever. And he's like, my perfect mobile dolls will get me out of this. And he's just like way too excited about how he's going to get to use the mobile dolls to save himself. Mm-hmm. And Virgos.
I mean, to be fair, at first, he seems to be right. They show up and they do start. Yeah. They do start tearing up everybody.
Had there not been Deus Machina.
Had there not been one rude misogynist on the moon base.
Deus in Machina.
My sweet idiot son returned from the war.
Virgos start blowing up like Tauruses inside the lunar base, and they're gonna come save Tubarov, and then just kind of out of nowhere, Ultron Gundam shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, he's here to just fucking double dragon punch two of them in the face at the same time.
Beats fucking ass. But importantly,
fuck to watch.
He's not only destroying the mobile dolls, he's also destroying the Tauruses here because he just wants to kill literally anyone who's fighting right now.
Yep. He has kind of the same stance that Hiro said. He's taking out anyone who is doing battle.
Mm-hmm. Except Hiro's already gone away from that.
Yeah.
Well, if I just move slow, give him time, he'll get there.
Just don't put a fucking woman in front of him because he's going to get hung up on that for at least a whole episode.
Tubarov has one of the most excellent moments in just about any series I've ever seen where he starts cheering on his mobile dolls and saying he's invincible, and then the room fucking explodes.
As the room falls apart around him.
Yeah. Tubarov's final words, I'm invincible.
Crash.
It rules.
I have seen that clip on like Gundam Out of Context Twitter like a half dozen times.
It's so good.
It's fucking hilarious every single time.
Wu-Fei's just kind of like chilling in the destruction after all this fighting in the rubble, and he just walks away and he's like, I'm gonna be true to my own sense of justice.
And then we go back to the shit that we're here for, which is Hiro and Zex.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
chilling
up now. Yeah, they're sitting around and kind of like
I love that they're just chatting. This is my favorite shit. Like sworn enemies to the end of time are just talking. Oh, I love that.
Love this exchange so much because Hiro ends up saying something like Epion told him that Zex was like in his way, and he's not like he doesn't disagree. He thinks Zex is like an obstacle he needs to overcome, and Zex is like, okay, cool. And Hiro's like, by the way, I want the Wing Zero. And Zex is like, tosses him the keys. And he's just like, take it for a ride, baby.
Yeah.
But as he's leaving, Hiro tells Zex that, I have the line, hang on. He says, use Epion as you like, because it was built by Treize, and I don't understand that guy.
Which
Me
is
neither,
one
buddy.
A very Hiro Yui thing to say, and also kind of agree with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Treize does say something along
Zex
does say something along the lines of being like, yeah, Treize would actually want me to have this. So everyone's kind of on board for the swap.
Yeah, when you're right,
really
you're right.
Fucking good. Hiro basically says he'll take out the incoming Virgos in the Wing Zero, and then Zex goes like sicko mode in the Epion, and Relina like feels the disturbance in the force. And he starts like screaming as he's like, slaughtering some Virgos or something. And Relina like looks up, she's like,
hello.
That's like the transition to the end of the episode is Relina's kind of, I think, talking to herself, right?
She tells the Romefeller aide that's in the room with her that she consents to becoming the chief representative.
Yeah, right. Like she like comes in and opens her door and like checks in on her, and that's when Relina tells her.
Yeah.
Importantly enough, since the show is the least subtle thing in the world, she watches a beautiful sunrise after she says she'll become the chief representative. It's a metaphor. Do you get it?
Oh, don't worry. It gets worse.
There are some writers that use subtext, and they are cowards.
Peace is good.
Just peace, Max? Not peace and freedom?
God.
War and peace are both good.
I see.
Man, it's
boring
boring around here. Fool,
that'll take us to episode 38 of New Mobile Report Gundam Wing. The birth of Queen Relina. Wu Fei continues to fight both Oz and White Fang, attempting to stop all conflict in space. Nguyen arrives to try and convince him to join her side and further the spirit of total pacifism, but he performs misogyny and leaves. Meanwhile, Hildy and Duo track down Katra. As the two pilots meet, Duo tells Katra of Troa's location, but when Katra meets with Troa, he learns of his amnesia and is sent away by Catherine, who doesn't want to see him hurt again. The colony where the circus is becomes the site of a battle, and as Katra sends them to safety and fights off the combatants, Troa hears Katra's pleas for help and heads to the battlefield, promising Catherine he'll return safely. Lastly, Queen Relena makes a public address as the chief representative of the Romefeller Foundation, announcing the abolition of all national borders and the birth of one world nation. Good God.
Hey, this all sucks a bit.
Seems a bit shit.
We needed something to bring us down after the epic highs of last episode.
Yeah.
It's like, oof, I'm tired. New narration this week. We hear about Oz fighting White Fang. It's, we know what it is. It's a bunch of Romefeller guys who say, hey, actually, colonies are good now again. Let's fight on their behalf. Fuck you, Romefeller. Fuck you, Oz. Get out of here. We're in charge now.
My head is spinning. It never stops.
Spinning, just like Hero's famous move in the Gundam.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This is one of the things that I've been trying not to get too excited about, because a lot of people like Late Wing, and I understand why. But at the same time, Late Wing is usually where I tend to fall off because of shit like this. I'm so lost in the shades of gray at this point.
Yes.
Absolutely. I am out of my depth, and I know it. I am literally just here for the cool robots.
TBQH, this is I'm having more fun with this show than I ever have. I think because it's just you think that they're done adding a new fucking Splinter faction, but no, they get you with one more. It's just oh, hell yeah, Wing, I know you wouldn't let me down.
You described it a really interesting way in the Discord. You're like, this is just a shonen anime. It's not like a regular era Gundam show. You can't really look at it that way. Just enjoy the ride.
As much as G Gundam was way more of a Sentai super robot series, Gundam Wing, I think, genuinely kind of marks the transition, really fully away from the real robot style that Gundam has had up to this point, with everything like 0079 and Zeta and Double Zeta, they took everything really seriously to an extent. Double Zeta's a goofball laugh and a half most of the time. But it's almost unavoidable that the show kind of transitioned with the age of popular shows, and this is definitely kind of a milestone for Gundam as a whole.
Yeah, it feels not a complete course correction from G, because it is shonen like G was, not nearly at that level, but it feels like they're kind of winding back down from how fucking nutty that, because Victory happened and then G happened. They're oh shit, we need to make a show that doesn't make people sad, but they wanted to go back to Real Robot after G, and they're okay, we can't fully go back, people are gonna get really sad again. So they did they did Wing, and I think X is next, and X is another
exactly
weird
what I was gonna say.
I
think they took the things they really wanted to do in terms of design, in terms of storytelling, and kind of keeping more true to the heart of anti-war, not necessarily being about peace, but the anti-war stance, and if you have a weapon of mass destruction, maybe don't use it kind of stance. I think that's what Gundam X really gets to. But I haven't seen it, unfortunately. But I have heard very good things from prior host of the show.
I've heard it's a bit silly with it.
Yeah.
But good.
As somebody who's only watched Wing and IBO, I will eventually get around to watching some of the older ones that obviously have a much different vibe to them. Just to see the differences there. Just inherent.
Try something different.
I can just watch the same two shows again for the 100th time.
Or you could play award-winning MMO Final Fantasy. So Noin shows up. She flies out in the White Taurus.
I did not mean to make that into a TED Talk about Gundam.
Oh, people. Oh, no. People love when we actually like say meaningful things about the show instead of just like screaming, "Isn't this sick?" So,
oh fuck!
Yeah,
you
I'm
done
the
good.
wrong
Sick,
host
though.
for this show.
Yeah.
You tell me now I'm supposed to be analytical?
Well, but both can be true. Noin shows up here. She introduces herself to Wu Fei, and she's like, "Hey, it's me, Noin. I love both space and Earth. I don't want to harm either. I need the help of you Gundam pilots to help see the Sank Kingdom's ideals of total pacifism."
And Wu Fei pulls his fucking staff and activates it. A fucking dickhead.
Yeah, he's armed. He's ready. But he kind of like sees Noin's resolve in like just completely not attacking or reacting at all. And then fucking Chang Wu Fei says, "Huh, sounds like something a woman would say," and flies off.
Yeah.
My boy, you gotta stop.
It's episode
process.
30
I think it's... Is it before they chat? Wu Fei is basically telling everyone to disarm anyways. He's like, you need to disarm because weapons in the hands of weak people just leads them to think they're strong and some shit like that.
Yeah, like a high key, like a really good line. I just hate that Wu Fei said it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
again, he's not heartbreaking. We're Sky Dynamics, excellent point.
Oof.
right. And then
Oh god.
he actually makes it before he's the worst guy you know. He couches saying good things in saying shitty things.
Mm-hmm. Can't fucking stand this kid.
And then we bounce over to my favorite young power couple in this series,
Domestic
which
life.
is Duo and Hildy. And they're like chatting about Troa and the fate of the colonies because Duo just ran into him. And Hildy is like, you know what you need, Duo? You need to get out there and you need to do something functional. You need to do something like helpful. You need a job. And she finds him like a position. She finds an open position on a resource satellite. And she mentions it's a resource satellite run by the Winter family. And Duo's like, no fucking shit.
Looking into, making fucking Jim off his face in the camera.
Absolutely.
And then we just like
he says something about like the prodigal son must have returned.
It's so
Honestly,
fucking cute.
Yeah.
It's good, yeah, because we like immediately cut to them reuniting. This is so nice. I love this.
Hard
They're
cut
buddies.
Duo is just in a chair with his leggies up.
He's
so
in
good.
Katra's like big boy CEO chair. It's really great.
After like Duo, like, he just like kind of does a cheesy introduction, and Katra just basically runs up and hugs him. And we find out that Katra's sisters have actually essentially been running everything in the absence of their father, because the colonies at large still believe Katra's dead. So he's kind of like helping behind the scenes, but he's not actually in charge of anything.
His sisters are like still running everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like at least publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's dead technically.
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and Katra says he came back to space to help unite the Gundam pilots, to help create that peaceful world.
Duo gets kind of in his head about this, and he's like, you know, I should be the only one to have to fight, but like now all the colonies are fighting. Maybe peace truly is an impossible dream here. And Katra also, like, he consoles him by saying that he also made a huge mistake, presumably letting his father die. And he'll do whatever he can to like make up for it. And he says, once a dream is lost, everything is lost. And then Duo fucking snaps back to normal form by saying, well, a dismal future might be fitting for the god of death.
Thanks, Duo.
It's
He
really
can't.
interesting.
Duo's that one person who can't say anything like
Serious. He can't
sincere
ever
without
say
cracking a joke.
Yeah, that's
about
why I
it.
love him. He's exactly me. It's interesting that you say that the mistake was letting his father die, because the first thing I thought of was him shooting and killing Troa. Because at this
that's
point,
also,
that was probably it.
And that does
Yeah.
fit considering the thing that happens immediately after.
yeah, because Katra doesn't know necessarily. I mean, he believes Troa's alive, but he doesn't have proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it was. No, yeah, you're right. Because his father wasn't really his mistake. I guess like he certainly feels regret of not being able to save his father in time, but that wasn't like his doing. That was more Romefeller.
God, Max.
but also
your
it was his
fucking
father.
analysis, right?
It was his father bringing it on himself for hoarding resources.
ACAB.
Both are true. So let's see. Duo mentions he's like, I'm gonna my notes are weird here, but like he mentions something, but like it's very obvious he's like mentioning like Katra to meet up with Troa to like continue reuniting the Gundam pilots. But before that, we cut back to Earth Relina is being fitted for her ceremony of being crowned queen of the world or whatever the fuck. The destiny of the world is on her shoulders. She's looking a little bit Princess Diana with it.
Yeah, the hair is a strange departure from her normal styles and fits.
It makes her hair look very short. It's interesting. Yeah. It's different, but it's like...
It is very, like, reminiscent of, like, English royalty to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, the Princess Diana style, but, like, something about, like, historical women figures, a lot of times they're depicted with their hair up and styled a certain way. And so
very regal.
It is very much Romefeller going for that like old money English aesthetic that they all very much have because they're all a bunch of European rich white fuckers. And so they're trying to appeal to their own demographic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then knock, and, open up the door. It's real with the nonstop pop stainless steel. Dorothy's here and Jesus Christ, I'm not a... boy, what an outfit for a 15-year-old to wear.
She's 15!
I am uncomfortable. I am upset.
Maybe we shouldn't make her wear this. Just a thought.
It's too late for that now,
The thought is Dorothy, frankly.
Goodness.
Sorry.
Damn, fucking get her ass.
I'm the Wu-Fei of the podcast now.
Oh, no.
I immediately felt bad about it, but I'm going to make a joke at my own expense. Anyways, Dorothy's here, and she is basically walking Relina to the meeting for the announcement. And while they're walking, Dorothy's like, I'm just so excited. It's almost as if this is happening to me. And then the meeting happens, and Relina gives her speech to the entire fucking world.
Well, hold on. You skipped ahead a lot of parts. There's a lot that happens in between.
I did stop looking at my notes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So she accepts it. Duke Dermail kind of crowns her and puts her up on stage. And then our sweet old terrible Duke starts rambling about plans and responsibilities for Romefeller. And a friend in the audience stands up and says, "What the fuck?"
So specifically, the guy in the audience who stands up is, his name is written in my notes. And if I look in my notes, I can see where it says, because the name of the guy who said it.
You see, this is why I don't take good notes, because it's not my responsibility to look things up.
It's Marquis Wayridge. It's her grandfather.
Wait, this happened. Okay, we've skipped ahead to the third episode. He does not show up until episode 3.
No way.
The episode ends as Relina finishes her speech. No one talks about it until the next episode.
Oh my god, I fucked up so bad. I'm sorry, y'all.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. That is the next episode.
Okay. Rewind.
Hang on.
This is me.
Okay.
You're probably wondering how I got in this situation.
Let me bring it back. I have a good note to pick back up on. So Duo and Katra were talking. Duo
we
leaves.
did skip all of this.
Duo leaves, and the remark he has is, "This place is a little too high class for me. I'll see you around, buddy boy." And I love to hear it. I love to see it. It's very playful. It's very much Duo.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's nice.
Then we see Relina getting dolled up to become queen. Hiro is working on his Gundam, and then we cut over to a circus, which, hey, for the record, how did the whole circus get onto a colony?
It's a circus. That's what it's called.
Yeah. It's just a tent. You can move those, Jay.
I understand that, but how, did they get funded to come out to space? Because you gotta fly the elephants out to space.
Okay, that does present an incredible sort of logistical issue. How the fuck do you get endangered animals into space?
What about a lion on a spaceship? Is that similar?
Oh my god.
Oh, it's probably fine.
Okay.
So in the circus, or I guess after the circus, Katra
a bunch of clowns show up with machine guns, and the kid gets separated from his mother. Wait,
Shifty Crockett's mom gets killed.
Hang on.
Wait, we're on the wrong episode again.
Catherine is really fucking mad. First of all, Duo seemingly just didn't tell Katra that Tro lost his memories. He's just
that was a strange choice to not give him a heads up about that one.
Because Catherine's immediately pissed off at Katra for trying to dredge up Duo or Troa's past, and Troa's clutching his head and is like, "I know him, but who?" Oh,
yeah. Catherine
we do get a
hits-
cute little moment of
hits
Duo
Katra.
in like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we get a cute little moment, just a quick cutaway of Duo like in his hangar talking to Death Scythe.
Yeah.
But he calls it Aibo partner. He's like, Aibo, what should we do?
Oh,
Like,
that's so much sweeter.
it's nice.
He just calls it by name in the sub.
No,
Or in the
Death
dub,
Scythe
rather,
hell,
sorry.
what do we do?
He just calls it Death Scythe, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he it's very sweet. I love when people have those moments with their ungodly destruction war machines where they're just talking to it being like, well, pal, what are we gonna do? It's very sweet and it's very endearing.
That's like one thing that I really enjoy in Gundam that you don't get in a lot of other mech animes is that kind of like familial relationship they form with their suits. It's really interesting.
It's
Rather
interesting
than just
because
being like a thing that
well,
they use.
I think a lot of other pieces of like super robot material, they kind of view it as an extension of themselves. Maybe
That is the difference. It's
very much
these are,
other.
They know they're using an yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's very endearing, and he looks at Death Scythe. He's like, what are we gonna do? And then the circus puts on a show, and Troa prior to the show is a little more spaced out than usual.
As Katra's like leaving because Catherine kind of ran him off as the show's going on, and then he gets intel that the White Fang and Oz are battling, and they're quickly approaching the colony. So now we got to fucking evacuate everyone. A ceiling floodlight thing like falls, and Catherine like dives into Troa and like knocks him out of the way. Katra like runs back in to check on everyone and make sure they're escaping. And
very dramatic.
Catherine is like, yeah. Catherine's like, fucking get away from my boy, get away from my little brother. Catherine's like in tears at this point. She's like, I can't lose anyone close to me ever again. But then Troa gets up and he's like, don't cry. I promise to protect you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you getting your groove back, buddy?
Yeah, a little bit.
They kind of have like a little moment, and Troa says he remembers something someone close to him told him, which is to act on your emotions. Okay.
Who could have said that?
Just a really good callback to like a very quiet moment between him and Hiro early on in the show. And Katra, after like kind of getting them to safety, heads off to Sandrock. After he's out in space, Troa and Catherine are still talking, and Troa like hears Katra's cries. Very much like the soul of space type shit Katra was talking about. And Catherine...
Katra just has a lot of new type shit surrounding him constantly.
Catherine
She's the new type.
She doesn't want to let Troa go. And that's when he says the line about like acting on your emotions, and he promises to return to her.
And then rhythm motion starts fucking playing.
Rhythm emotion fucking intensifies.
Of course it does.
Which is like, I was about to pop off, but then I realized like, oh yeah, no, Troa doesn't have heavy arms. Like, he shows up in a shuttle, and then the scene ends.
Yeah, it's fucking silly. So Katra's out on the battlefield. He sees a shuttle flying toward him, and then we head back down to Earth. Relina is then met by Dorothy, told how she's going to become a leader of the world. Dorothy is like, super excited for her, like I mentioned earlier. And she kind of ends it all by telling Relina to smile, which is just cynical. And this is like, Relina then makes her speech, and we get shots of basically every character we've met, like seeing the speech. We get, I think it's Duo and Hildy together. We get Noin with the boys that are with her, I think. Hiro, I think, sees it from like the cockpit of the Wing Zero. And this is when Relina announces there's no more borders. We are one nation now. And as she announces that,
that's a funny thing to just say.
It's pretty fucking wild. And then we get a shot of a man watching a television in the dark, and it's Trey's.
He's just glowing by the screen light.
He's just like, this is interesting. And then Hiro stares at the screen in the Wing Zero's cockpit and just goes, Relina. The episode ends.
It's really fucking funny that watching this show in 2021 and thinking, well,
yeah.
Maybe we don't need borders. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
If we had no borders, do you think nationality would stop?
Okay, no. I mean, again,
No.
This is very much an on paper.
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't like this conversation. I'm scared.
Sorry.
Okay, next episode.
Next episode 39. I've talked about most of it already, but it's Troa's return to the battlefield. Zex doesn't see the point in fighting anymore and gets offered a job by White Fang as a symbol of their revolution in space. Dorothy continues to spin a web and pull its strings, now undermining her own grandfather in the Romefeller Foundation. Noin continues to collect Gundam boys with plans to pick up Duo next. Duo rejects White Fang in order to try and fight for the colonies alone. We get a pretty long and well-arranged action sequence, and Hiro promises to make good on his promise to kill Relina.
Promise.
Yep, I realized it as I was reading it. Fuck you.
He said the line. He said the line from the first episode.
He said the line from the
gonna
first
kill you.
episode. There was a while there where he wasn't going to kill her, and to be fair, I was a little concerned for his mental health.
He forgot about his important mission to kill Relina. Only then can the show end.
So I think the narration for the beginning of this episode was new, but it might have been recycled from the previous
I think it's the
one.
same. I think it's the same as last week, talking about Oz fighting White Fang now.
Okay, interesting. It does this really nice thing, though, like it did last week, where it just kind of leads very naturally into the beginning of a scene. It's very much like a stage play. It's arranged really well. I liked it a lot. There are two dudes in the blue Romefeller outfits, and they're talking. One of them is talking about retiring, and the other one's like, well, we're actually members of the Queen of the Earth's Army Corps now. Our next battle's already waiting for us, so we can't retire yet. And they just kind of like laugh, and they're like, haha, time to go do battle. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, ha 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 ha.
And then they fuck off in a truck with a weapon on it.
Yeah.
And then we cut behind them into a bar.
So the fact that they were leaving this bar and Miliardo's there drinking cafefe, I thought like they were just hauling off the Epion. I'm like, did you just give it to them? But no.
Right? Like
He still got that, but it wasn't clear at first.
Yeah. But you know, he's just chilling, and then he gets approached by Keen's, the leader of the White Fang.
Yeah, cans.
Kin's cans, and he's like, I have nothing to do with you. I'm not going to help you start a revolution on Earth. And this is when Quinceanera mentions that White Fang adopted the ideals of their leader, Hiro Yui. So I guess Hiro Yui wasn't a whole pacifist. I mean, if he's telling the truth, Hiro Yui, if he's like in charge of the colonist revolutionary movement from years ago, who fucking knows anymore? He's like, I just want you and Epion to come to space. Specifically, Epion, we need a Gundam. The Gundam is a symbol of rebellion. Please come to space.
And he hits him with, for me, this war is over. Once again, I've lost any reason to fight. And Cans is just like, okay. And like Zex, Miliardo, you know, he doesn't really claim either of those titles in this conversation, but he thinks to himself, peace shouldn't come this easily. He's mad. He's mad that there's peace.
Well, he specifically says he's not Zex, and then he doesn't respond to Peacecraft.
Right.
Which was
Yeah.
a slight variation, but still interesting, IMO.
Yeah, he's baby, is what he is.
He's
Yeah.
Eduardo Mass.
He's Schwarzbrüder.
Charenzable.
So we cut to Bremen. Duke Verage is here. He's finally showed up, for real this time. He asks Dermail what gives him the authority to announce this abolition of border plan, and he's like, hey, I thought Relina was the chief representative here. Like, it's her job to decide these things, not you. And he even says it's disrespectful for Dermail to sort of enact these plans, and he's like, we've been talking about it, we think we should do democracy. You should step down. More than half of us would vote as such.
Yeah, he's like, you should step down like the former Trays. And then Dermail calls Trays a dictator and says, I'm not stepping down like that idiot did.
Oops.
And then everyone gets really tense, and he's like, I'll step down when the time
When I'm ready.
comes. And everyone's just like, oh, yes, okay.
Well, if you all want me to, I'll do it eventually.
This is where Marquis Ridge, Relina's grandfather, is speaking like on her behalf. It's really good. And after the meeting, Wayridge is kind of like leading a small group of people, and he's basically rallying a bunch of Romefeller fuckers to try to overthrow Dermail and try to get him out of power. And then they kind of part a little bit, and we see a young woman walking amidst them.
Yeah, so all of this shit is Dorothy's plan, apparently.
It is fucking wild that this 15-year-old
Because they're like, are you sure we should be doing this? And then look at Dorothy.
Yeah,
it's insane.
That happened, and I almost fucking, like, kicked my computer into oblivion.
That's your favorite girl.
Yeah, my favorite character is the one pulling the strings behind overthrowing her own grandfather, I guess? Like,
Grand patricide.
What's the play here, Dorothy? Like, what the fuck are you up to?
God, it's so good. It's so good.
No, it's not. It sucks.
I like Dorothy. She's nice.
She's just nice.
She's nice. Hey, we cut from one baffling moment to the next because Noin is in the outfit of all time.
This rodeo-ass lesbian. I love Noin so much. This is on par with her rescuing Sally Poe in terms of, like, top Noin moments for me. It's just
I may have felt my heart flutter with, like, the tassels on her top.
Yeah,
it was
fucking
wonderful.
yeehaw!
The fucking leather outfit, double-breasted with the fucking leather tassels. It's where the fuck did you get that? You're in outer space. Like,
I know. God, like, she's in a shuttle with Troa and Katra, and just in this yeehaw ass outfit. Troa still doesn't remember anything, but he's like, I'm just comfortable being with you people. They're heading towards Winner's resource satellite to, like, make the final modifications to Sandrock. Oh god, the next scene. Oh god. Hey.
Yeah.
You heard of symbolism?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Can you elaborate on that? I have waited nearly a year to talk about this.
You've linked it in the Discord like 3 times leading up to this. It's very good.
The funny thing is I wasn't the person who posted it originally.
I've seen this image. I've seen this image so many times without context, and, like, seeing it with context now, it knocked me completely on my fucking ass because it is a purple White Fang Leo with the words peace and freedom painted on its shoulder. Do you get it?
It's so
Cannot
fucking
wait.
Do you fucking get it?
With that, it's so perfect.
I'm
I feel like it really epitomizes everything Gundam Wing is about. You know, just in one fucking frame. God, they just really hit you. They give you the fucking El Kabong right over the goddamn head, like. No subtlety, no nothing. They
don't trust you to figure the themes out yourself.
It is literally text on the screen.
that's like that's too real. I hate it.
I fucking am obsessed with this Leo with the words peace and freedom pasted on its fucking little lapel. It's so
stupid.
Perfect.
It's fucking stupid.
Like, we don't really even actually see where it is, because I think we just bounce right over to Hildy and Duo.
No, it's just fucking standing in a colony.
It's like between 2 buildings, and then they show the shoulder tag, and then they move on immediately from it.
Yeah, and it's implied that it belongs to White Fang, because Hildy and Duo are talking to White Fang members.
Yeah.
Hildy's arriving back home, and she kind of, like, sits outside because she hears Duo yelling, and he is just straight up telling members of White Fang to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
He's
like, they're sort of muscling
serious.
him.
Yeah.
They're telling him, like, you have a Gundam. We got it. We need a Gundam. We need a symbol of White Fang. And Duo's just like, fuck you. And they're like, all right, damn, it's a shame that the Gundam is White Fang's enemy now.
Yeah, and Duo is super serious, and he's like, okay, come at me. Fucking step to me. I dare you. And he opens the door and politely shows them out. And then he sees Hildy, and the mood entirely shifts, and he gets, like, really cartoonish, like, pops a hand in the air and just, like, waves at her. He's like, oh, Hildy, you're home!
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking good. And then Hildy, like, obviously overheard the conversation, and she's like, well, I want to go with you. I want to help. I want to fight for the colonies like what you're doing. And she's like, but I can't come with you, can I? And he just straight up says no. And
Absolutely
then
not.
she says the dumbest thing possible and says, maybe I could join the military again and start fighting.
It's like, Hildy, girl.
Hildy, no. And she's like, maybe I can change the hearts and minds of people who are there, and we can try to fight for the right thing. And then she goes on to say, like, Duo, like, you could be a hero if you joined White Fang. And Duo's like, that's not the point. Like, I'm doing it so the people of the colonies, the people like White Fang, don't have to.
Yeah, of course I don't want you to fight.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, it is a really, really good moment. Again, like, solidifying why Duo is doing what he does alone, the way he's done it for so long.
Yeah, like, he says, I don't want to be the hero, I just want to be the god of death like I always am.
Yeah.
And he gets in Death Scythe Hell and flies away.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Hildy.
Too bad that's the last we see of Death Scythe Hell right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Well, it's the last someone sees of something later on. We cut to Tubarov's. We cut to the Tubarov Memorial nasty space battleship run by John Belushi. Sadishi is like lamenting Relina's plan for no world borders, but they're like, no, don't think about it. We got to focus on Oz and Romefeller. We got to get them out of space first. We got to complete the battleship, and we need to make the Earth realize that the colonies are also just one united nation. And then we get a little shot.
It's all a mess.
It's factions, baby. I love Digimon Ghost Game. The opening is called Faction Ska. It's like horse. It's Halloween ska. I just want to mention it because it's good. Listen to fucking Digimon Ghost Gaze.
You know what else is like a horse? A Taurus.
Damn, it's true. We get a little shot of some Leos being painted in White Fang colors, which seems to be like a sort of military olive drab type.
Yeah, that's obviously the color I saw and
that's right.
Said was really cool.
I completely understand. They do look like they're being painted like a bit of gold. The only thing that really gives away and informs the rest of their color scheme is the shield bits, the Mercurius shield bits that get painted, because they get painted like a military forest green. And that is the only accent of color, because they have those ugly ass Leo panels that are like this yellow color. But aside from that, they look tan and metallic, so they could be like a pale gold.
It's a very dark shot of it being painted. We can't really, and we don't see them in action yet, so we really don't know what color
that's
they
the thing
actually
is, I know for a fact there is a frame of some of these flying into combat later on, and from the like, they are small in the distance. They look gold. Like, I completely get where you're coming from with the color scheme on these. So
yeah. So we cut after that. Just the little scene. Noin and the boys are like still heading towards the research satellite, and they're kind of flying through like the wrecked debris of a colony.
While Noin is talking, I won't say what she's talking about, but while she is talking, we get a cut outside of the spaceship, and we see in the distance just a wrecked, like a whole ass colony on top of like the stuff closer to the shuttle, which is a body floating in space with all this metal shrapnel.
Yeah. No good. Like what Noin's talking about here is she's sort of mentioning like how the conflict is currently going on with White Fang, but like they're not the main causes. Like it was original Oz, and even going back, it was the Alliance who started all of this. But like it's going to be us who are going to finally end the conflict once and for all. But they can't do that currently because the Tin Man Squadron of Oz is here, and they are beginning to fire lasers at them.
Yeah. They start getting fired upon. We get this really, really stellar action sequence of like Katra and Noin. But in particular, Troa takes a Taurus, I believe. He takes one of the white Tauruses and heads out into the battlefield in advance of everyone and starts
leading
shooting.
up to this though. They do like mistake them for White Fang.
Yeah.
Members.
That's the reason they fire on them.
Yeah, they don't even like hail them. They just start firing because they think they're revolutionaries.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, they're probably transporting troops. They say it a couple times throughout the combat too, to kind of really help reiterate, which I'm thankful for, the fact that they thought this was White Fang, and they continue to think that even when they see a Gundam. So Troas gets out there on the battlefield. He's like, I think I know what to do. He gets out there. He knows what to fucking do. He starts blowing shit up.
Tears ass. It is wild,
like,
how good this man can still shoot a gun.
He is firing this like heavy power space laser in one hand and a smaller like beam rifle in another, and it is very reminiscent of seeing him in the heavy arms. It's like, it's wild. Like, you can kind of picture it.
It's because all he knows how to do is stand still and fucking shoot like a maniac.
Okay, that's fair, but it does work. Credit where credit is due. As he does this, Noin and Katra like set the shuttle they were on to self-destruct. I'm not entirely sure why, but Noin gets in a Taurus and Katra gets in Sandrock, and Sandrock still isn't really equipped for space. He does do some sick shit. I think Julia specifically noted there's like a moment where he like changes like grip on one of the shotels and like
fucking backhands it.
Yeah, it's cool as fuck. And we see the heat shuttles like in space, like they're glowing red and ripping through
it's
shit.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Heat weapons are just badass.
True. Troa starts to get outmaneuvered, and Katra is like, I'm not equipped fast enough. Like, I need to go help Troa. And Noin's like, okay, the shuttle is rigged to explode. And Katra's like, perfect, I'll use that to slingshot me. And flies back to the shuttle.
Like, the biggest brain, like, immediate decision. I was very confused at first what he was doing. He's like, yeah, I can't get to Troa in time. I guess I'll blow myself up.
I know. It's really bizarre. And
so
Noin is like, that thing is going to blow any second. And Katra's like, well, can't help being a white Taurus. And gets fucking absolutely blasted by the ship's explosion. And as Troa gets like outmaneuvered and pinned down, Katra interrupts and slams one of the Oz like Romefeller units into something.
Oh, hey, would you look at the time? It's time for Rhythm Emotion to play once more.
And as Rhythm Emotion begins to get underway, we get these blue lines kind of like lighting and revealing what that mobile suit just bumped into. And
it's so fucking cool,
wouldn't you fucking know, it was the stealth-cloaked Death Scythe Hell. Duo enters the fucking battlefield, and he starts tearing it up.
He's called the God of Death for a reason. Fucking everyone gets killed.
All of this action is so fucking sick. And it's not a ton of action. Like, I do wish there was just like a little bit more, because I want to see the Death Scythe Hell in action.
Oh, yeah.
But we've got all the things you want to see. He slices motherfuckers in half with his double scythe. He shoots someone with his Buster shield and blows him to bits. Like, there's a lot to like, but I just wanted a little bit more of it. And after the battle subsides and Rhythm Emotion kind of starts to fade out, everyone's together and they're having a little bit of a conversation. And this is another one of those moments that I really just love, because everyone's like out in their astro suits, like in space, just kind of communicating to each other. And Duo sees Troa and kind of like waves at him and says, "Are you guys playing games with these brainless machines?" And
yeah.
And he reintroduces himself, and Troa doesn't remember him. And he's like, "Really? Like, I'm one of the best friends you ever had."
Mm-hmm. It's so nice. I love Duo being back.
And Troa doesn't fucking get it. Like, he doesn't get that it's a joke. He thinks he's being serious. And so Duo is like, Jesus Christ, this guy can't even take a frickin' joke.
Yeah. But 3 of the Gundam pilots are here. We love to see it.
Yeah.
The final scene of this episode, after they reunite, is we cut back to Earth. Heroes flying in the Wing Zero. And wouldn't you know it, he's thinking, if Relina dies, we can eliminate that world nation and this false peace. Relina, I'm gonna kill you.
To be continued next time on Gundam Wing.
That's my boy.
The year is after Colony 195. A boy wants to kill a girl.
Oh, Lord. Good episodes.
Really good.
Hey, this show's good.
I like this show.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Do we perchance have a segment today?
Yeah, so I am going to be taking us beyond Toon World.
You're going to love this. Trust me.
Beyond Toon World!
I wanted to I wanted to dig into Relina's voice actress, which is Lisa Ann Belly? Who knows? Not me. Fun fact, she was born 6 days before me in an entirely different year.
I was gonna say, hold on.
I know, right? No, she was born April 2nd, but she has kind of like a couple other of the voice actresses on Gundam Wing, a few smaller roles. Or not smaller roles, but like not as like big of a rap sheet, I guess. One of the first things I want to highlight is I just lost it. She's been on a couple other Gundam series. The OVA, or not OVA, sorry, the video game, that's what it is. Mobile Suit Gundam Encounters in Space. Celia Zabi.
Girl boss!
Yeah, so, like, she's been some pretty good characters. She was in Inuyasha as, like, a very small side character. Obviously the voice of Relina. But another, like, really popular, at least I think, like, early 2000 series, Visions of Escaflowne. She was Princess Marlene Aston.
I remember Escaflowne.
She was also in the Street Fighter TV show, 1995. She was Cammy.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if she did a British accent.
Pretty fucking good. She was in a little show called Dragon Ball Z.
Was she now?
She was, and she was the voice of Goku's own wife, Chi-Chi.
His wife who he never kissed?
His wife who he has never canonically kissed.
Those kids
Tremendous.
exist via mitosis.
He fucked. He just never kissed.
Sorry,
no, she got them cheeks clapped, but like...
Oh, no!
There was a fun little 2004 TV show called Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. She was Maru Ramius and Eileen Canover, two different characters.
Okay. I've heard of Maru. I think Maru's decently important to the show.
She sticks around into Seed Destiny, where she also voices Ray Zaburl, which is a child, probably in a flashback. That's why it's denoted as child in parentheses. And New Kazevsky. But yeah,
okay.
not a ton of stuff, which is kind of wild. The last, I think, she was Ada in Black Lagoon, which I don't know the importance of that character, but I will note that it's a pretty big anime. The thing that sticks out to me the most is actually another Gundam series, because in Gundam 00, she was Sumeragi Lee Noriega. She is the captain of the Ptolemy and the Ptolemaios. She is the one in charge of all the Gundam Meisters in Gundam 00. And that is absolutely where I recognize her voice from, more so than Gundam Wing, because it is a like more mature version of this woman's voice. I don't know how old she was when she recorded Gundam Wing, but she's doing like kind of a child voice, and it kind of works. But in Gundam 00, like she really nails the role of Sumeragi, and just blends in with all of the other people who have also been on Inuyasha in both Gundam 00 and Gundam Wing, including Ian Scott. So,
oh my god, I'm looking. Oh, hold on, just kidding. I accidentally clicked on it completely. I clicked on the Japanese actress for Sumeragi, and it's like, oh, she was a character in Xenoblade X? No, that was a completely
no, that's a different person.
Yeah. So she, like I said, she doesn't have a ton of credits. I think she's credited with like 90 roles, something like that.
Yep.
Given the opportunity, I think the next voice I'm going to do, and we have, 3 episodes? So I might pass it off to Julia, is going to be Brian Drummond, who's the voice of Zex.
Now that's a name I fucking recognize.
Oh, yes.
That motherfucker has like 300 at least credited roles.
It's 225 titles.
Thank you.
730 voice roles.
Good lord.
Yeah. See, like, that's what I'm saying. I've wanted to save like a good one for last, and I don't think anyone's better than Brian Drummond, because he's in a million fucking things.
It's like if we had access to one of the CR voice actors on this show. Like that's what
Yeah.
Brian Drummond would be, like that list of.
I mean, it's only fitting then that after you do Brian Drummond, I'll do fucking Takahito Koyasu because holy moly. Hold on, yeah, let me check real quick. Let me just see. Takahito Koyasu. How many roles did he do? Let me just pull up
like a million probably. Also, just quick shout out, Operation Meteor Zero. Obvious, but like
no. Yeah, he's done 526 roles and 465 titles.
Holy fuck!
Yep, that makes sense.
I think I should.
The thing with Brian Drummond is that I'm pretty sure he's every actor in a couple of these programs that he was on.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, there's I think it's a Batman Brave and the Bold episode with Mark Hamill where he voices Swamp Thing, the Joker, the Trickster, and a little character you may have heard of called Mark Hamill.
Hell yeah.
He voices himself. It's
is that
really
the one
good.
where he gets kidnapped by the Joker and he's like in the car scene? That scene is incredible. Sorry.
It's fucking phenomenal. No, I love it. I kind of want to change the Operation Meteor count to Rhythm Emotion count just because
honestly,
we'll hear it
good idea.
at least once every episode basically here on out.
I'm kind of into it actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
next week we finally get it as the actual opening.
Yeah. You're going to start sprinting to that song.
Love that shit.
But yeah, that's it for Lisa Ann Belly. Who knows? Not me. I'm sorry. I hope
Lisa Ann Belay.
I hope I got one of the pronunciations right, but you've done.
If you say all the pronunciations,
one of them has to be right.
Exactly. Statistically, you're gonna get there. Time for plugs before we do one final thing. I guess I'll go first because I don't think I ever really go first. I always like to do. I always plug the actual show, so it flows into it. But I've been Max. You can find me on Twitter at MaxyBajillion. Go to Pot of Greed Cast on Twitter to listen to my Yu-Gi-Oh podcast called Pot of Greed. Go to Slappers Only Pod on Twitter or slappersonlypod.com to listen to my video game music showdown podcast Slappers Only. And go to NVM the Trollocs on Twitter or I think nvmthetrollocs.com to listen to Nevermind the Trollocs, a podcast about Amazon's Wheel of Time. The show beats so much ass. Oh my god, it's a fantastic time. Check it out.
Very cool. I've been Julia. You can find me basically only on Twitter at The Crown Jewels with 2 underscores. That's JULES. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Wow Cool Podcast and join us on the Discord at Wow Cool Discord, which is linked in the Twitter description.
And I've been Jared or Jay. And you can find me on Twitter at PagliacciProtoJ. That's basically all of the places you can find me. You can also go to my domain, mechaahegao.net, which redirects to the Discord.
Are you still there, Max? Did you die?
I've made everyone in the audience once again experience senescence.
Yeah, every week's we always find a new shit to groan at. Thank you to Noise
I genuinely thought you disconnected from Discord.
Oh no, I did a really big sigh that I don't think got picked up.
It really did sound like you hung up.
That would have been funny. Thank you to Noisepace.xyz for hosting this podcast. Go to Noisepace.xyz to find us and many, many more shows. Podcasting Forever 2022. Hey, Julia.
Oh, God, yeah.
Did you think I forgot? What's the robot of the week?
No, the thing is, I forgot.
Good.
Fuck. I'm going to the well of the show I just watched most recently. 86. The little unmanned spider robots from the enemy nation. They're
okay, I was going to say, you definitely brought the main ones.
Yeah.
Piters. We like piters.
I think I also brought Fido. I'm just making my way through.
You brought Fido. Yeah, this is like the third 86 thing you brought, which is fine.
It's a good show, Max.
The reason is I'm never fucking prepared.
That's good. I mean, the fun thing is to just like delve into the depths of your mind to find what a robot of the week
Make up a
be.
robot on the spot.
Make up a robot and make up a robot to get mad at. Well, hey, that'll do it.
In that case, it's the Final Fantasy 14 queue. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's their servers. They had to roll out of the closet for the launch.
Christ.
That'll do it for this week. Thank you all for tuning in to yet another rip-roaring episode of Wow Cool Robot. See you next week for more wing shenanigans. We'll talk about rhythm and motion a lot. Peach.
No, that's not how we end the show.
No, you're missing something.
We don't have. Oh shit! I forgot we actually do have a sign off.
Yeah.
I forgot my own sign off.
That's
oh
pretty
my god.
fucked up.
What do we always?
As we
what do we
always
usually say
say,
at the end of every episode? War is bad.
Wow.
Cool robot.
I'm so sorry.
Even
It
Jay
wasn't
and I
me.
were fucking
It
ready.
wasn't me.
My own
we were
show.
ready.
The curse
My
is
own
lifted.
show.